Well, welcome to Riding Shotgun with Tupper on Wednesday, November the 14th. It is cold, 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 like 16 degrees. My windows on this truck are iced up, and believe it or not, I don't have a scraper in the truck. Now, I should be a little more ambitious and go find one out of one of our other vehicles, but I scraped off enough with my little souvenir plastic admissions card to the NASCAR Hall of Fame when I was down there in Charlotte not long ago, and so I can see enough. Alfie's running along all geeked up, and man, you know, I watched that Georgetown, Illinois game last night. I was exhausted by the time that game ended, to be honest with you. It was exciting. It was back and forth. I mean, it was an entertaining game. I was very entertained. It was so disappointing to learn before the game that Trent Frazier was not going to be able to play because he'd been placed in concussion protocol after getting clunked in the head on Monday in practice with a collision with Georgi Bashanashvili. And so maybe my hopes were a little bit tempered because of that, but I was very encouraged by a lot of things and discouraged by a couple things. But I would say, I'm sorry, I keep rubbing my nose. I've got a runny nose this morning. I was more encouraged than discouraged. Wow, how can you not love Io and what he brings to the table? 25 points. You know, could he have made a couple more plays? Of course. But man, oh man, how can you complain about a freshman in his second college basketball game who gives you 25? That's just great stuff. And then really impressed too with Georgie 2 games into the season. You know, we thought we were seeing some things when we were over there in practice. Brad certainly talked about his IQ. The kid, I think he plays with just a lot of poise. He's a little bit out of position right now, truthfully, but and also a lot of skill. And I don't think you can ask for a whole lot more than what he gave you. And Andres Feliz, tough kid, the junior college guard. And I like some of the things that DeMonte Williams did as well. I think DeMonte maybe had 4 steals. I was very disappointed in Kipper. I like Kipper. I think Kipper's a really good kid. I think he's a complex kid. I don't think he'd be any treat to coach. I think it would be constantly challenging, and I'm pretty sure it is that way for Brad. But I was just, first of all, he shot the ball poorly on a night without Trent out there. They need him to kind of come up big, and he did not. And he didn't finish a layup or two, one late. And then just the lazy play on that, you know, loose ball, he just casually lopes after it. And the freshman, Matt McClung for Georgetown, hustles after it. And he beats him to it, takes the ball, and zooms in for a reverse dunk that if I'm Kipper Nichols, that was embarrassing. And I know Brad will bring that up and over in practice coming up. But, you know, those kind of plays hurt you in a close game. And, you know, Aaron Jordan out there for a long time. You know, Aaron does what he does, but you need a basket from him during the 20-some minutes he played. And they didn't get one, and that's kind of his specialty, is hit an open 3, and he didn't. So, you know, with Trent out there, defensively and offensively, you know, Trent drew 5 charges in the exhibition game and the opener against Evansville. He would have helped them last night defensively. He would have made a couple baskets. He would have given Io a little more freedom because the defense would have had to account for him. And I just thought it really hurt him not to have him out there. It's the way it goes. You learn some things playing without him. There'll be games when maybe he's in foul trouble, or maybe he tweaks an ankle, or who knows what. But, you know, just hurt him last night not to have him there. Oh, it also hurt him, you know, it wasn't that they shot free throws horribly. I think they were 12 of 17. But Georgetown was 14 of 16. You know, there's some points there you leave on the board. They need to be a better free throw shooting team. And even for all the praise I would give Io, and I'd give him a ton, you know, he had 1 assist and 1 rebound. And I'm more concerned about the rebounding. They're going to need rebounding help from their guards, especially your guard who's 6'5", and he's going to have to track down some of those. And maybe he was releasing a little early without Trent, knowing he's going to have to initiate some things. All of that would be understandable. So they're off to Maui. They leave Friday, I believe. Brad indicated after the game last night that Trent would be available, and they will play on Monday late at night against a Gonzaga team. I would just caution people right now, don't be discouraged if they get whacked by Gonzaga. I expect them to get whacked by Gonzaga. Gonzaga is a veteran team with multiple NBA players. They're one of the top teams in the country. When you talk about potential national champions, you talk about Gonzaga along with Duke and Kansas and, you know, a couple of others maybe. But this is a great team. They've set the bracket up so that Duke will play Gonzaga in the championship game. But I would watch this game with an eye toward what lessons do they learn, what things can you file away for safekeeping. There's not a team in the Big Ten as good as Gonzaga, and so you'll have an opportunity to show something in this game, learn something in this game. It's going to be a good experience to go over there for these kids. You're going to have to start seeing a little bit more from Tevian Jones, a little bit more from Alan Griffin. We don't know what the status of Samba Kane is, apparently suspended for that Evansville game. Didn't hear any reason for him not playing last night, although I know that he probably is not ready to go up against those guys. Really hurt him to miss those 8 weeks this summer. He's going to have to develop him on the fly and hope for the best. The good news yesterday was the first recruiting commitment Brad Underwood got for the 2019 class. This from a player who really fits the bill of what they need. They need size, and they get it in Antoine January, a 6'10" or 6'11", 240-pound 5, who gives them size and is a good start to this class, albeit a late start. So congratulations on that front. That's exciting news. Now fill in around it and see what you can get. Interesting that I heard Khalil Whitney was not going to sign his letter of intent with Kentucky. I don't know what's going on there. I just don't know what's going on with some of those kids, and there may be a perfectly good reason for it, but let's watch and see what happens there. We know he did consider Illinois. So, tough one last night. Georgetown making the plays down the stretch to win the game. Illinois fighting along without Trent Frazier. Should have him back from Maui. At least it was, I don't want to say at least it was a concussion, but as opposed to like a high ankle sprain where you could feel the effects of the injury for games to come, this should be a cautionary observation period and turn him back out 100%. And we'll see how they can do. I enjoyed watching the game last night. I hope you found plenty of positives in there and don't immediately get negative because they didn't pull that game out. Would have been a good one to get, there's no doubt about it, but with all those pogo sticks and a couple of really good guards Georgetown had. Georgetown may end up being a pretty good team. Let's kind of keep an eye on them and watch how they go for the rest of the season. Hey, thanks everybody. Next week, I would imagine, let's see, will we be back to a Tuesday? Probably. The Maui thing goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're just going to have to deal with that. The game times are going to be weird. Thanksgiving happens on Thursday. So we'll just do the best we can. I'll keep you posted on Twitter when we're going to put up Riding Shotgun. I've been hearing from some of you, and thanks very much for your comments. I had to go schedule a dentist appointment with my dentist and switch some insurance things over, and the secretary at the dentist's office said, "When are you posting the next Riding Shotgun?" And I'm like, "Do you watch that?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, I never miss Riding Shotgun." And I was like, "Holy cow." That was cool, and appreciate the feedback. So next week, getting ready for the holidays, out here in the snowy fields, and hoping I don't get stuck turning the truck around here. I'm starting to actually be able to see out my windows, which is a beautiful thing. And Alfie running along. I won't bother trying to get her on camera today. Maybe she's dashed around behind me and showing up in her own little secretive way. But have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. So long.